right, welcome Happy Mamas to another episode of Happy Mama TV. I'm your host, Patricia Rivera-Wolfson, and today's special guest is Kelly P. from Project Me. Welcome,
Hello.
Kelly.
Thanks so much. It's a pleasure being here.
It's so nice having you here, Kelly, because I have been a big fan of yours, as you probably already know, for probably a year or so. I've been following you and the Project Me. So why don't you tell the audience a little bit about what Project Me for Busy Moms is all about?
Okay, yes. Well, the website is myprojectme.com. And Project Me, first of all, I should tell you that it started with My Project Me, as in this wasn't for anybody else. This was for me. And my life was a bit of a hot mess. And I decided that the best way to figure things out was to separate my life out into different life areas. Because, sometimes it can just feel like a big, hot, messy mess, and you don't even really know why. And so when I started kind of organizing it and looking at my health and fitness and how's that going, and my kids and my family life, and then my husband and my marriage, and when I started kind of breaking everything down like that, I could pinpoint better what was going on. And I got myself a 3-ring binder notebook, and I created those little tabs you can get for the different sections. I actually created a different section for the different areas of my life, and I called it my Project Me. It was my notebook, and I started just really treating my life like a project, like I was managing a project. And I used to joke that one day, I'll write a book about this or something. It was like a real ha-ha kind of thing, And now I really have, I have a website called My Project Me. I teach other mothers how to do this. You don't have to literally get the 3-ring binder and, do it so anally like I did. But you can just treat your life like an exciting project by breaking it down into different life areas. And that's what Project Me does, yeah.
I love that. Now, I need to ask you, were you that type of person before who liked to have things organized? What might be categorized as like a type A person? I'm
a Virgo. I'm of a Virgo, so I definitely have that kind of tendency to want to make sense of everything and to put it into categories. It does kind of work for me. And yes, I am one of those people who, when I had a baby, bought the book and what time should I put my baby down for a sleep, and what time should I wake them up? I'm not one of these kind of real go with the flow people. I want to be, I kind of want to be one of these people that doesn't have any, it's going to go, it doesn't work for me. I do need to have some structure. I do need to kind of know what's going on. I just thrive better that way. I think some of us do. And I think even as I've been learning more and working now more with women in my programs and one-on-one, I'm realizing that even the mothers who think they want to be routine-free and, flying by the seat of their pants, this kind of thing, they want to be that way, and intrinsically they are. They realize oftentimes that just when you have kids, and they do need to kind of have a bit of structure, a bit of routine, because they thrive more on that than just you deciding you're going to feed them at this time or put them to bed at this time, And so I think they do appreciate what about Project Me is that there are there's no rules or anything like that, but it is a way of kind of organizing yourself a little bit better, yeah.
I can certainly appreciate that. I'm definitely a fly by the seat of your pants kind of girl, but it's not something that I was able to continue through parenthood. Having 3 kids has made me much more organized in every aspect of my life. Not that I'm organized, but certainly I've had to add much more structure to my life because, once you have kids, you need structure. And I know that this topic of structure and productivity and time management, which is our topic today, is of real interest to a lot of the moms in my Facebook group and also to anyone else who might have access to this video. So what can you give us as maybe top 3, just off the top of my head, top 3 tips for productivity, at home or in your life as a busy mom?
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, my numero uno tip is definitely to go into each day with a bit of an action plan. That doesn't mean that you have to schedule every minute of your day and know what you're doing every minute. But I think too many of us dive into our and just wondering at the end of the day why we feel like we didn't get anything done and why we felt like I had this chicken all day and all of that. And I think that the easy answer to that is by just at the beginning of each day looking at what you've got scheduled, perhaps someplace you have to be at a certain time, what you need to, top things you need to get done, and writing those down and planning it out. And you know where I'm going with this, because you know about the Design My Day action sheet. I've got one printed out right here.
Yeah.
And Design My Day. I don't know if that comes out backwards for you, but Design My Day.
Yeah. Let me get you in the other view so we can, perfect. Okay.
So now is it okay?
Yeah, that's perfect.
So the Design My Day action sheet is a free download on my website, and it's the most popular download on my website. And there's a version of it in color or black and white. And I actually went and had mine spiral bound. So it's going to become my daily planner. And what it means actually is, just to run you through it, is you have your scheduled events. This is any place you have to be at a certain time. You write those in before you start your day, because that's how you're going to know what kind of things in your to-do list you can reasonably expect to get done. Because if you have a day where you've got to be here, there, and everywhere for appointments or whatever, then you're really not going to get some of your meatier to-dos done, are you? So you have to be realistic when you start your day. And then we have a place to put your 3 MITs, and what those are your 3 most important tasks. And those are the things that you have kind of a master to-do list that you're working from, right? And then you're working from that to enter in what your 3 most important tasks of the day are going to be. And those need to be obviously anything that has a deadline attached to it that's, has to be done today or tomorrow. Of course, that has to be one of your 3 MITs. And I also try to encourage people to do those things that have a deadline attached to them, but are not due today or tomorrow. Halloween costumes, why do we always leave that until the last possible minute? Or, that kind of stuff that, at the beginning of October, that Halloween is on the last day of October. And yet, we kind of end up still like, oh my gosh, going crazy trying to kind of organize things.
I got my costume. My kids all have their costumes. Woo!
It's things like
we don't have pumpkins. We didn't have pumpkins yet. We got costumes early this year, like 3 weeks ago, but we don't have any pumpkins. So, you win some.
Yeah. Well, it's all that kind of stuff that we tend to procrastinate on until the heat gets turned up and you're suddenly like, oh my gosh, I got to get this done now. And so what I try to teach mothers is to try to, first of all, clear the deck on any of the stuff that really is already screaming urgent and important, and get that stuff done. And then try in the future to not leave things till the last minute, because that's when you're in firefighting mode. That's when you're in this kind of, that feeling of a pressure cooker where you're just like, oh, now I got to do this. And what also happens when you leave things that have a deadline is important until too close to the last minute, is that then when something else comes up in your day that you weren't planning for, you're just, the school nurse calls and your child is sick, and you have to go and pick your kid up from school, or any number of things, the toilet's broken, you got to call the plumber. I don't know, I'm just making stuff up here, but anything suddenly comes up unexpected on top of what you've left to the last minute, and that's when you go into crazy making mode. That's when you're just like, oh God, and I just like to invite people to think about how often that kind of is of your own doing, because you've left things to the last minute. And so for all those procrastinators out there, this is about identifying the things on your to-do list, putting a star by it, highlighting it, putting the date next to it by something that has to be done by a certain day, so that you don't leave those things until the last minute. Just get them done. Yeah. And then back to the sheet again. So you have your 3 most important tasks, and then you move into after my 3 most important tasks, and I put if there's time. Because sometimes it might be that if you just get those 3 things done, then, that's all you need to get done today,
Right.
I put the if there's time, because that might be where you go, well, I really would like to get that and that done too. But I say there's no beating yourself up at the end of the day if you haven't gotten all that stuff done, but get those 3 most important things done first. So it's like Brian Tracy is the productivity guru who always says, eat that frog.
Oh my God, I was just going to say, eat the frog.
you know this. He has a book called Eat That Frog.
Yes, yes. I talked about it at my camp. Like, you got to eat the frog, do the scary thing,
Eat
the
the
thing you
frog,
don't.
and we don't want to eat the frog. We want to leave the frog till later. We don't really want to do it at all. But if you just get in the habit and like have a little mantra, I'm just going to eat these 3 frogs. I'm just going to, I'm just going to eat this frog, and you just laugh at yourself, be playful when you're doing it, and just get it off your to-do list. And so the Design My Day really is a way. I also have a place up here for today I'm grateful for, because it's so important that you know, start your day with a feeling of gratitude. Just one thing, 1 or 2 things you're feeling grateful for. And then today you kind of think about what kind of day I have in front of me, and write kind of 3 words for how I want to feel. I'm looking at what I wrote recently. I wrote breathe, allow, flow. I always kind of want to be in the flow, you know. Synergy, connection, because I was always doing some coaching sessions for people, and I wanted to feel a real sense of connection with them. Another day I wrote calm, clear-headed, and focused, because I had to work on my book and I just wanted to be like, you know, just distraction-free. So it's good to set an intention before you start your day too of how you want to feel. And then throughout the day, because you're referring to your list, you can just look up there and ask yourself, am I feeling that way? And if you're not, maybe you just need to step back and take a few breaths and do a little mini meditation or something like that, just to bring yourself back into alignment with how you want to feel.
That's fantastic. I love that. I mean, design your day is definitely great. So your first, do we have another tip? Did we do?
Yeah, I'm always full of tips.
I know. I was just trying to think. Like I said, 3 tips. So the first was, what was the first?
Design your day. Yeah, right. Definitely. Before you get started on your day, to
That's right.
Have a plan.
That was the first tip. We've only done 1 tip here. Okay, that was good.
I kind of fit a lot into one. But you know, my top productivity tip in the world is to plan your day in the morning. Figure out what your most important tasks are, so that you aren't just picking and choosing from your to-do list, just random things that kind of feel easy or fun right now, and then leaving the other stuff till later. So you're right, I have kind of put a lot of my top tips all into one thing. But let me think if there's something else that I think is burning for productivity.
Do you recommend that
I think it's important that you sorry?
I was going to say, do you recommend doing the design your day the morning of or the night before? Like which
some people like to do it in the morning before they wake up, and some people like to do it the night before. So it really depends. If you're the kind of person like me, my kids leave for school in the morning, and then I kind of have that little bit of time to design my day and then get going on it. But some people feel like, you know, if they've got kids at home and that sort of thing, it might be easier to do in the evening when your kids are asleep. And then you can plan your day, what you're going to do tomorrow, and then you kind of wake up and you hit the ground running. You know, you can look at it again, you can refer to how you want to feel and all of that, and you can kind of be ready to go. You're not spending any time even figuring out how you're going to spend your day. You're already going. So there's no wrong or right to that. It's whatever works for you.
Okay.
And then I'll move into your actual to-do list itself. I do not believe in Post-it notes. I think Post-it notes are evil. Everybody who I work with, when I actually do a one-on-one session with people to master their to-do list, and it's a Skype call with me where we look at their productivity hurdles, and we look at how they currently keep their to-do list. Okay, do not keep it in your head. Like, that is the worst. Like, you know, our heads are already too full. And so many women, I'm so surprised, because I've always been a list maker, but I'm surprised at how many people keep their to-do list in their head. I'm like, no, don't do that. Out of your head and onto paper or into an app or, you know, something like that, but never in your head. Because there's always that feeling of like, oh yeah, I'll remember that. And then you won't. Or worse yet, you are kind of remembering it all, but it's just constantly, you know, you want to be able to have it in one place so that you don't have to keep it in your head. You can just be referring to it like that. So, yeah, no Post-it notes, no backs of envelopes, just scrap pieces of paper. I really believe in having like one central command center for your to-do list. Now, I used to use a notebook, and it was my to-do list notebook. And I believe in starting fresh every day. And so I would like have this to-do list, and then I would start a new page the next day and have to transfer all those things over to the next page. And then I would have the next day, and I would go, oh my God, there's still these several things that got, and the list gets longer. It isn't like you're starting with a to-do list, and then it's gonna get whittled down to nothing. That's what I think I used to think that. Yeah. That one day I'll get done with all this stuff. And then I would just get so despondent about the fact that like my to-do list was never ending. And then I finally came to grips with, yeah, my to-do list is never ending. Like, yeah.
Kind of like Audrey.
Yeah, but instead of feeling like, oh my God, my never ending to-do list, I started to reframe my to-do list as, I'm a really active woman who has a lot going on with, my kids and with my family and with myself and my friends and my work and everything. And so that by definition means I'm never going to have a to-do list that's just finished. So my never-ending to-do list just reminds me of like this great life that I have, this really full life that I have. Because wouldn't you much rather have a lot of things to keep you entertained and busy and occupied than be sitting around twiddling your thumbs and bored?
That's such a good reframe, because like, as you were describing it, I'm a list person too. So I always have my list. I shouldn't say, I generally speaking like to have my list written down. But recently I think I've been keeping things more in my head, because I started to do like these big brain dumps, and it's like, I would end up with like 60 things on a to-do list that will like range from like organizing closets and like dealing with like things in my house that are always on the back burner, but I wanted to get them out, to like the day-to-day stuff, and the list was so huge that I think I stopped writing the list, because it became completely overwhelming and daunting. Like, I think even when I was in your course, I had like put everything down on paper, and it was like that. I would check some certain things off, and then I turn the page and I'm like, but I didn't do this, so I have to add it. Or I'd be like, I have to remember to turn the page back and check. And it was so completely overwhelming.
Yeah, it's demoralizing and it's overwhelming. I agree. So, I mean, I can't get into it in like full detail now, because it is something that I do. I work with people one-on-one in my mastery to-do list sessions. But I have a system now that absolutely rocks, and it is a digital system. So it's like on my computer and it's synced to my phone, and it's so great because I have everything into like little categories, and then I know when something is urgent and important, it gets actually bumped over into that section, and it's almost like having a wall of Post-it notes, but it's on your computer, so that it's on your phone. It's amazing. You can move things around on a board, and you can like bump things up and prioritize, and it just really helps me to separate out my work life and my home life, and to break projects down. Because how sometimes there'll be something on your list, which is like organizing your closets, or something like that, or a home decorating project or something.
Yeah.
Well, if you put that on there as an item on your to-do list, every time your eyes see that, you're going to gloss over it, because you haven't got time to do that today. It's too big. So what I teach is how to take something that's more than just a single task, which is more of a project, and how to break it down into really small steps, so that you can just do one thing today. You can just do one thing towards that, and it's just that way you get moving. It's that one small step at a time gets you there. And it's amazing how when you have something that's on your to-do list forever, because it's just too big to, do in one day, that when you break it down into really micro steps, you can get there, you can get it done. So yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's fantastic. We'll have to add a link for people if they want to contact you for this work, because
I'll definitely do that. One thing that I will tell people is another one of my tips is on my website. Again, there's something called the Magic Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
The Magic Matrix is kind of the foundation of what I teach in my mastery to do this. This is the pen and paper version. So this isn't kind of doing it in the app. It's doing it pen and paper. And what you do when you've got when you're overwhelmed and you've got a massive to-do list and you don't even know kind of where to start, you start by putting things into the important and urgent quadrant. And then there's another quadrant for important but not urgent yet, like I spoke about before, which are the things
Right.
that, are going to move into that quadrant if you don't do them now. What the idea is, you want to try to keep this section free. You actually don't want to have a lot of stuff in the urgent and important. You want to be doing things that are important but not urgent yet. Yeah. And then you have not important and not urgent, push it back. And there's plenty of things that we want to do, like, oh, I really want to start that course, or I really want to start doing, this, whatever. And that isn't that you're never going to get to it. You put it here, and then when you start clearing the decks on these kind of things is when you're more free to be able to start doing these things. So if you're better at your time management and you can clear the decks on those things that have deadlines attached to them, suddenly, wow, you've got more time to be able to start doing the things that are not urgent and not important in the sense, they're important to you,
Right.
but they're not important in the sense of like, oh my gosh, I've got to make that doctor's appointment, I've got to, that kind of thing. And then I've got delegate. And delegate is, there's some things that you really don't have to be doing yourself. And it depends on the age of your kids. Mine are teenagers now, and oh my gosh, I've got delegate in there. Like, why do I have to do all of this? On a Saturday or a Sunday, I'll just make them each a list of things from my delegate list, and I'll say, here, you take those 5 things, you take those 5 things. And it's incredible how you can get your kids, no matter what age, honestly. Some people don't think that their 3-year-olds can help them, and they absolutely can. And some people don't get their younger kids to help them with things because they can do it themselves faster, or they can do it themselves better. But if you don't start giving your kids the little things to do when they're younger, then they're just going to get used to you doing everything for them all the time, and you're not teaching and training them. I mean, at the beginning they won't make their bed as nicely as you would make their bed, or as quickly as you would make their bed, but isn't it going to be better in the long run if they start to just learn how to pull the blanket over and put the pillow like that and put some stuffed animals on top, even if it doesn't look great?
Yeah.
You just kind of do that now, then it just means that later on you don't even have to do it ever again, because you've taught and trained them how to do it,
No, that's fantastic. I completely agree. I've been trying to sprinkle that into my own kids. I have them fold clothes. I have a 4-year-old, definitely they make their own beds. But not always, but I try to implement that. I'm teaching them to do laundry,
Great.
And they communicate
if you're interested, or if your viewers are interested, I've got a blog on my website. Again, we can link to it afterwards. It's called How to Get Your Kids to Help You More Around the House. And it's got a chores chart. Yeah, it's got a chores chart, and it's got age-related, what kids can be helping with at what ages. And sometimes people are really surprised that the really young kids can be doing that, or they look at the things that older kids can be doing and they think, gosh, they really should be able to be doing that. That's right now. Right. And another thing that a lot of women don't realize is that they can be getting their husbands to help them a lot more. I know that I myself, years ago, I used to just think he could read my mind. I used to just think he should see I'm struggling with this. He should see that I'm doing everything here, and he's got his feet up watching TV, and I'm doing this, that, and the other. But the thing is, I realized over time that if I just asked him nicely, if I just said, honey, could you please run the bath? Could you please, whatever it is, if I just asked him nicely and also thanked him afterwards, I really appreciated you doing that. It really helped me, and I feel so much calmer now. Thank you. If you just, without all the kind of passive aggressiveness that we can get sometimes,
Yeah.
that when I learned how to ask for what the help I need, and just showed appreciation when I got it, oh my gosh, he just started helping so much more.
Yeah, I definitely find that the more, especially the appreciation part, even for stuff that's typically my husband's job, we'll say, if he's taking out the garbage, I'll say, thank you so much for doing that. And I think it really changes the game for how much they're willing to do, because then they feel appreciated. And that's something that every mom I know also complains that she doesn't get appreciated enough. And my first question is, how much are you verbalizing your appreciation, even for the stuff that should be your responsibility? Because that is the key. It's if you're feeling neglected or not appreciated, then you have to start by saying, hey, I appreciate, you working hard. I appreciate that you you know, gave the kids a bath, even if it's their job, even if they're, you know, like all that stuff, it's still nice to be appreciated, you know?
It's so true. You know, my husband is the one in our family who always does all the travel arranging. He's always the one who figures out our holidays and researches stuff and or does the flights and does everything like that. And, you know, I realized, well, you know, this is a few years ago, but I realized that I just took it for granted that he was doing it. He's better at it than me. He just does it. He's never asked me to. And then he started to get kind of passive aggressive about it, you know, like he was really, you know, I'm the one who does everything. I'm the one who figures everything out. And I'm like, but do you want me to? Well, no, I've done it, you know, and that kind of thing. And then I just started to realize that if I just really said to him, I really, really appreciate you getting all those flight options out so I could just choose what I thought was the best one. I really appreciate that, or on a holiday. So with the kids, I even encouraged the kids when we were on holiday to say, the reason we're here right now is because of Dad, and, you know, let's just give him a big group hug and everything. And ever since I've started showing him appreciation for being our family travel agent, he doesn't complain about it anymore. It's like he sees it as his role. He takes pride in it, and you know, I thank him all the time for it. And so, you know, yeah, when we show our partners appreciation for those things that we can sometimes take for granted that they just do, it's a really nice thing.
Yeah, I think it's a game changer for sure. Okay, so let's wrap up our chat with, let's have maybe a couple of time management tips. If you have a couple of quick time management tips, I don't know if that fits into productivity, but you know, it's kind of this kind of.
No, it does.
Connected.
Yeah, time management and productivity go hand in hand. Well, another tip that I have is to prepare for success. And what I mean by that is, you know, is there anything that you can be doing to prepare yourself for, say, a successful morning the next morning? So for me, I lay my clothes out the night before I go to bed. You know, it's so much easier for me to figure out what I'm going to wear if I just lay everything out. I mean, everything, even my underwear, my socks, it's like all on top of my dresser. So I just have to get up and get dressed, as opposed to kind of, you know, when you're tired in the morning, you're trying to figure out, what do I have on today? And, you know, am I seeing anybody? Am I doing anything? You know, that kind of thing. And if my intention is to go to the gym or go for a run or work out, then I lay my gym clothes out. So there's no going back. You know, it's like once I step into my clothes, you know, I'm like, I'm not just going to sit around all day in my gym clothes. I'm going to go to the gym, you know. And when your kids are younger, it's such a great idea to lay out their clothes the night before as well. Just have it all there. And then, you know, when you get into the habit of doing that, then you reach a certain age where your kids want to choose their own clothes and you can kind of ease out of it. And now my kids, even now they're teenagers, they lay out their clothes before they go to bed. It just saves that little bit of time in the morning, that headspace in the morning. Meal planning. Oh my gosh, well, I cannot tell you how much meal planning has completely and utterly changed my life. Another action sheet on my website is the meal planner action sheet. You figure out what you're going to feed your family. Here it is, weekly meal planner.
I have that. I have that on my fridge. I have it on my fridge, and it's laminated. And it's laminated so I can use like a dry erase marker, so I don't have to use a new sheet every day. And it's just magnet. Like I put it with magnets on my fridge so that I can fill it out every week.
Good for you. That is so cool. I think I might have to steal your lamination tip.
Yeah.
So, you know, I sit down on a Sunday evening. I don't want to do it. No one wants to do it, I don't think. I sit down on a Wednesday evening and I plan out the meals for the week. And that means I'm making one trip to the supermarket. I'm getting all the ingredients that I need. And I'm not constantly going to the supermarket or, you know, forgetting things or pulling frozen pizzas out of the freezer because I haven't figured out what I'm going to make. And the other thing that I did to make meal planning easier is the 21 meal ideas. Do you use this one?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I started
meal ideas. So what I was realizing is on Sunday evenings when I was doing my meal planning, I had like my recipes online. I had everything else. Like, what am I going to make? And it was just taking me so long. That's with the meals. If I just wrote down ideas for 21 meals that are easy, they're family favorites, everybody likes them. I can get the ingredients all in one supermarket. that kind of, those really easy things that you can just draw off of when you're meal planning and you're tired. You don't want to have to go through all your recipe books. So it's just a really another time saver that I've just figured out for myself, and now to share it with other people. And then I don't know if you use the weekly fitness planner, but the weekly fitness planner is another way of figuring out ahead of time how you're going to move your body that week, so that the weekend doesn't come and you think, oh my gosh, I didn't make it to the gym, or I didn't, you know, whatever it is. And what I've done, what I've got up here is I looked at my gym schedule, and I looked at the classes that I like on different days. Oh. And so I've got, this is kind of like my master sheet. So I've got, and there's also a spinning class that I really like at a different place, and a yoga class that I like somewhere else. So instead of me having to figure out every week when I do my weekly fitness planning, like what should I do, I refer to this, and I can see that on Wednesdays, you know, is that pure abs class that I really like at the gym, and so I can schedule that in. And so it means that, you know, I do all these things because when I fall off the wagon with, you know, my meal planning, or I fall off the wagon with getting to the gym and keeping fit, I figure it out. I figure out, what do I need to do to make this happen? And so that I made these sheets for myself, and then my friends started asking me for them, and then I started putting them on the website, and you know.
And now you have now you're getting a book, writing a book, which is so exciting.
Now I'm writing a book about it. Yeah, exactly.
So where can, is there anything that we can put in the Happy Mama community, or should people just go to your website to get some of these downloads?
Yeah, what we can do afterwards is I can just send you quick links, and then you can just put the links right there in your group. To go to the things that we've spoken about today, I can put links to all the action sheets and things like that. And then, you know, about my Project Me Life Wheel tool, that's my juiciest action sheet. And that you can get all over the website. On like every page, there's like, do you want the Life Wheel tool? It's kind of like there everywhere. And the Life Wheel tool looks at the 8 different areas that make up your life. You score yourself 1 out of 10 on how it's going for you right now. 10 not being perfect. We are never striving for perfection ever. 10 just means it's going really well right now, and I don't need to give it any particular focus. And if it's a lower score, then it shows you which areas of your life could use some attention. And then you head to that part of the website. There's a drop-down menu under the blog section that goes through the 8 different life areas, and you click on there, and all of my blogs, I design them to be really actionable and really helpful on topics that I hear from women all the time that they're struggling with, and they offer up some tips and inspiration, actionable advice for what you can do about it.
That's fantastic. I mean, as I said right at the beginning of our interview, I'm a huge fan of your stuff. I definitely could implement more productivity tips and time management tips. So thank you for offering these action sheets for the Happy Mama community. I absolutely I'm absolutely telling you to go and download them, because they will, even if you just do one. I just did the meal planning one that I really stuck to, and it definitely changed things. And if you just pick one area that you want to focus on or start working on, it's a game changer for sure. So I just want to thank you.
That's such a good tip. I'm glad you said that, because I don't want people to think like, oh my gosh, I have to do all this stuff and this is so much work and everything. No, just pick. That's what the Life Wheel tool is about. It's like, just see which area of your life most needs your focus right now. You know, if it's health and fitness, then figure that out. If it's, you know, family life, then figure that kind of thing. Don't think that you have to like try to solve everything at once, and don't get overwhelmed by all the tools and resources. They're there, you know, to pick and choose what resonates with you right now.
Yeah, and I really do like how your website is set up. You know, whenever there's like one topic that's come up, there's always like a way to link to the other blogs that relate to that topic. So, you know, I read that one that you had about how to help your children, and then it linked to like, or how to get your children to help you. And then it linked to like how to get your husband to help you and how you get to help yourself. And it's like this wonderful, like Alice in Wonderland hole of discovery. Like each topic has its own, like, and then this, and it's like a layers and layers and layers of help and actionable tips. So thank you for creating this. I am very certain I will be asking you to come back on the show and talk about, continuing to talk about time management and productivity. And I just want to thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm happy to jump into your. I'm happy to also jump into your community. If anyone has any specific questions, they can just, I'm in there. So if they just tag me, I'll see it because I'm on Facebook every day. And then I can jump in there and answer any questions anybody has.
That's great. Thank you for offering that. I think that is important for people if they have a quick question. And we'll also post for people who are interested in working with you one-on-one, who really want to do like a good dive into their productivity and time management. Definitely contact Kelly, and I'm sure somewhere in her busy schedule, she'll make some time to speak to you. I highly recommend it. So thank you for taking the time in your day to speak with us. And anything that anybody has any questions on, feel free to tag Kelly or tag me, and we'll get the word out of whatever you're looking for. So thank you so much.
Fantastic. So much. Bye.
Bye.